Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Beyond 85, a podcast where you get to listen to KPMG Nigeria professionals talk about their experiences from the things they do outside the busy hours of a consultant's life and how they deal with real work and life issues you can relate with. On this episode, we'll be talking about mentorship. I believe this will be very interesting because mentorship plays a very important role in every area of our lives, including our family lives, our career, and our social life. I once read that a mentor is that person who allows you to see the higher parts of yourself when sometimes it's hidden to your own view. On this episode, I have with me seasoned professionals who will be sharing their experiences with us on mentorship. Hello, Bukunmi and Nneka. Welcome to this episode. Hi, Bukunmi. Can we meet you, please?
Hello, everyone. My name is Bukunmi Olaniyonu. Within the confines of KPMG, I am a senior manager in the tax managed services unit. Outside of that, I do a number of other things, one of which I'm glad to say is to provide mentorship or mentoring to people, several people, and I'm glad to say that I've enjoyed doing that, and I hope to be able to share from my experience during this recording. Thank you.
You're welcome, Bukunmi. Nneka?
Hi. Good morning, everyone, or good day, whatever time of the day you are listening to this. My name is Nneka. Jethro-Iruobe. I know it's usually a mouthful, so I pause to pronounce it. Jethro-Iruobe. I'm a senior manager at KPMG in the People and Change practice. I've been in the Blue Firm for 14 years now. Outside of KPMG, I'm a wife, a mom, and also Bible games creative, and I absolutely enjoy mentoring opportunities that have come my way to be able to pass on knowledge and allow others to ride on my, back on my own wings, on my own shoulders. I think that's what mentoring is about. And so I'm excited to be here this morning, and I look forward to the session.
All right, you're welcome, and thank you for honoring our invitation. So, do you have a mentor, Nneka? And if yes, can you describe how your mentors have influenced you?
Okay, so I have several mentors because, like I mentioned, right, I think that mentoring provides an opportunity for an individual to ride on the success, on the vision, in terms of what someone can see, right, on someone else, what someone else can see for you and about you. And so I have mentors in different aspects of my life, right? I have mentors for my career, people who I feel are doing very well, who have done well in their careers, and who, when I do need a sounding board for advice, there are times I've come to in my career where I'm exhausted, I'm tired, and once I reach out to them, they're able to provide perspective to help me keep going. I have mentors for my marriage, people who I look up to who are doing very well in their own marriage, who, when I feel like I'm at my wit's end, I can reach out to and I can sound them off. With respect to the stuff other things that I do outside KPMG, I have mentors in different areas, so personal development. I have masterminds that I am in. So all of these come together to shape who I am, and I think that's what mentoring does for you. It helps you, one, to see life, like I said, through the lens and eyes of someone else. So someone has walked the journey that you are working. You take advantage of that, of what they have seen and experienced, and they can also see your future and say to you that what you're going through now is a phase and you can get. So mentors have helped me stay through in my career. So a mentor was the one that taught my choice of KPMG and my choice of a unit, right? It was a mentor that said to me, this skill set is not common in the HR space. Choose competition and benefits. I didn't know what it was about. And today, years later, it has come to be a very important decision and continues to count for me. You understand? So mentors have influenced my life all round. I mean, when it comes to my fitness and health, I have a coach that I work with. So mentors, coaches have been, tremendously influential in determining and in shaping who I am today.
Thank you, Nneka. I really like the point of you having mentors, across various aspects of your life. I think that's very important. So, Bukunmi, would you like to tell us what effective mentorship entails?
Okay, thank you so much, Tony. And there's no silver bullet when you try to answer this particular question, because it also has to do with the context. But I would just like to share on certain things that I think are very important to facilitate effective mentorship. I think the first thing is to come to the table, or go to the table with an open mind. You don't, and I look at it from the perspective of someone who wants to be mentored, who seeks to be mentored. You don't go there with your mindset closed and even trying to say this is what you believe. You have to go almost empty, quote unquote. So you have an open mind to listen, to learn, because if you don't have an open mind, you can't learn at all. And then one critical point, which I think a number of people seek mentoring miss, is that they go with a mindset to take, because they just feel that, okay, there's somebody who's just going to pour into them, and then they then learn from that and become better. But you have to go with a mindset to give, because your mentor is also looking for value in one way or the other that you can add to them. Nobody goes into an engagement or relationship seeking to lose out. They want to see value, no matter how small the value might look or might appear to be. So what I would recommend is go with a mindset to give value. Ask yourself, what will I also bring to this engagement, this relationship? And the other thing is to have a clear plan of actually working out the learning points, the learnings that you gain from those mentoring opportunities. So I'm privileged to I've had interaction with several people. I have a number of people that are close to me, and I do mentor them. And I have one particularly that sticks out, that we have regular briefings. Many of those interactions are even informal at times. And what it does is it gives me feedback on progress he's making, and he then seeks, and you can see that this person is actually working on it. Because nobody wants someone that will come to their lives to waste their time. So there has to be a clear action plan of what you intend to get, and then that you have to also be able to demonstrate that you're actually working towards reaching for your goals. And finally, it's about evaluation of how much progress is being made at different points in time. So you act on those things that you said you want to do with your mentor, and then you evaluate how much progress you made. And just enjoy it. Make it fun. Have an open mind to it, like I said. Bring value to the table, and then evaluate progress made at different intervals. Those are some of my comments, or some of my points I'd like to share.
All right, Bukunmi, thank you very much for that. I like the part of you saying that the mentee shouldn't approach the mentor-mentee relationship with the mindset of just taking. Mentees should also learn to give. I really love that about what you said. Nneka, I'm sure you have mentored others. So how would you describe your mentorship style?
I think that following from what Bukunmi has shared, the person seeking mentoring really most times would drive the conversation, because again, if you come to someone thinking that they are, and I mean this is a phrase I think that represents, they have a picture of a certain kind of future or a certain part of your future that you're looking at. If they are that believable reference for you, I think that the way you approach it is what will drive the conversation, right? If you come clearly that you want to learn, if you come to you want to just get the kind of materials that they consume, that's one way. If you come like you want to serve them and support them, so they are doing their own stuff, you're trying to support them in that area that you want them to mentor you in. So I think there are different styles, and depends on what the person brings to the table and what you want. So there are people who would want you to mentor them in a particular way. So maybe for sake of an example, writing. So I'm an author, right? I've authored 4 books. And the question is, how do you want to go about it? Do you want me to sit down with you and tell you what it is that I've done and what has done so far in my journey? Is it that you want to work with me on a writing project that I'm doing? okay, do you want me to, so we're working on it together, and that way you are learning, you are seeing the way I'm doing things. So it really depends on the individual, and it depends on the particular area, because I don't think that there's a one mentor fits all, that you can see this person will mentor in every area of your life. So it depends on the particular area of life, and it depends on the person. Also, time is also a factor, that determines, right? So how available are you for the person? How much time is available? Is this virtual? Is it just via emails? It really just depends. But one thing is critical is that there's learning going on, as Bukunmi has said, and you're applying it, and you are providing the person feedback that makes the person feel like they're making an investment that is bringing results. Nobody wants to just go on talking and talking and there are no results. So you've got to bring that to the table as well.
Yeah, I like the concluding part that in every mentor-mentee relationship, there has to be some form of result and progress. So, Nneka, building on what you just said, can you just share with us how mentorship has actually impacted any aspect of your life? So, you can decide to share with us the impact of mentorship on, say, your career, your marriage, or any aspect of your life you would like to share with us.
Okay, I think I mentioned one that my choice of competition and benefits was actually driven by a mentor, right? So my career in KPMG said that in competition and benefits now, people and change, which is HR advisory, in the advisory division. So that was critical. In terms of other aspects of my life, I mean, my marriage life, there are people I look up to who, whenever I have issues, when I have wins, I go to them and I say, oh, this is something that has happened. What do you think I should do? This is something I'm thinking about. How do you think I should handle it? This is some good news I want to share, right? And those things, one of the major things that a mentor does for you is perspective. And I think perspective is extremely important in life. People, like they say, people can look at a glass that is not filled up, and one person sees it half full, the other sees it half empty. Many times, what a mentor does for you, provides that perspective for you, where you can look at a glass that is half water in it, but it's not water, it's not to the brim. Rather than see it half empty, you see it half full. Do you understand? So for me, for my career and my career journey, there are times when I have been, at my weekend over certain issues, and a mentor has been able to give me perspective and I kind of borrow their strength. Do you understand? And I'm able to carry on in that particular task or assignment based on the strength and perspective that someone else has brought to me. You get? So that's for me in my career, my marriage. I think there's also a situation of informal mentoring. For example, I'm someone that likes to cook and make different meals. So there are people that I follow online who I see what they do and I copy what they do and it turns out great. You see what I mean? So there's that consistent in every area of my life, literally. I've had people who I've watched, who I watch and who I learned from.
Hey, I think I now have a new mentor with respect to cooking. So, Nneka,
can I register for your cooking mentoring program?
Enrolled. I hope my application is acceptable to you.
Sure.
All right. Okay. So, Bukunmi, when seeking out a mentor or accepting a mentee, what are those things to look out for? So, for example, I've put in my application to Nneka. So, what should Nneka be looking out for, in accepting me as a mentee, and also as a mentor, in choosing a mentor? What are those things that I should look out for?
Okay, thanks. So, I would like to split this. So I would push the first part to Nneka and I would take the second part. So let me start with the second part, which is when accepting a mentee. So I think that, initially you may not really know what to look out for when someone comes to you at first. So, the conversation just starts. So the question then is, you just have an open mind that, okay, someone says they want you to mentor them. At that point, there's no engagement yet. So the question then is the level of acceptance or the point of accepting to then take up that responsibility, right? I think that's what the question then seeks to address. But I just felt that because at times people do have this mindset at times that some people are difficult to reach or that, They say, I don't have time. I think everyone should seek to impact people's lives. Just have an open mind. Person may not even look the part at first. Just listen to them first. So I think for me, and I'll share my experience, and I would try to point out some learnings that I got from the interactions I had with a number of people. So some years ago, I made a presentation at a particular group, to a particular group of people about purpose, about life, about finding purpose and in God and all of that. And several people reached out through the leader. About eight of them actually reached out that they would like me to mentor them. Do you know that as at today, only one of them is still in touch? Only one of them is still in touch with me, and that's the gentleman I mentioned earlier. Because what I then found was that people think that things will just fall on their lap. And so even mentors have to be careful how they go about it. So you must be able to gauge and say, does this person have things will not be completely clear, but the person doesn't even have an idea of what they really want to do, some idea. Because the truth is, in different phases in our lives, we could change. People go through career shifts. People go through experiences in their lives that could influence their mindset to things. But at least the person will have an idea of the gaps that they think you can help them fill and how their role in that journey. So what I found with some of the people that initially said, okay, let's have a chat, is that they were not willing to pay the price. There's a price to pay for the mentorship process. You have to invest your time. You have to invest, your effort in actually actualizing what the person has told you to go and do. It's not just come and have a chat and all your problems are solved. No. So for me, the way I went through the process of really now bonding, this person has become like a brother to me, so someone that was really close. In fact, what happened at some point is I was then involved in another project. I then recommended him. He worked as a technical assistant to me on that project. Some other things I do. So you imagine someone from just coming to say, oh, I'd like you to mentor me, now becoming someone I could recommend. And even after I left that project, someone else took over. I referred him, and he still continues to provide support. So I think the initial engagements will kind of show you the level of seriousness that the mentor will put in the engagement. It's important to also clarify to the mentee or get some form of clarification. I like what Nneka said, that the mentee is responsible to a great extent for driving the value that they get out of that relationship. And I also like that perspective to say, okay, like I said, there's no silver bullet to effective mentoring, because it also depends on what the person is seeking to get. And you can hear Nneka talking about informal approaches. But I think the most critical, one of the key things to look out for is the mindset of the person. If someone already has a defeatist mindset about life, it might be difficult to go through that mentoring process together. So the person needs to have a positive mindset of how they want to improve themselves. Because you won't want to be talking to someone that is sapping your energy and just saying things are not good. And every time you talk to the person, you are even encouraging and saying, don't worry, it go better. So you want that kind of mindset that is positive. They might be going through stuff, but do they have a desire? Do they have that optimistic mindset to say, okay, things can get better? Because that's what can make that change happen. A mentee goes into a mentor-mentee relationship to effect some changes in an aspect of their lives, one way or the other, to effect positive change. So you want to think about that. And I'd like to also recommend, if you see that a mentee doesn't appear to be really serious about that relationship, call the person to order and let the person know, are we wasting our time, or what exactly are we doing? So that you don't just carry weight and someone thinks, they can keep calling you and then putting you under unnecessary pressure to add value to them when they are really not ready for that change. So I hope I did try to address that question. And I'll just bring Nneka up to talk about the first part.
Yeah. So Nneka,
all right, thanks, Bukunmi. I think that in answering the question of how to choose a mentor, something I said earlier is to ask yourself, does this person look like what I want to be in my future, right? In the particular aspect of life. So if say it's your career and you are a consultant, right? You're asking yourself, Does this person look like my future consulting career? You are someone in finance. Does this person look like my future in finance? I think that's really important, okay? Then, where they are coming from also, I think is important. Do your beginnings look similar? So do you know their story? Where they're starting from, does it look similar to where you are today? But I think that's critical because you're trying to literally walk in someone's shoes, right? So I think it's important. So you need so that you are sure what value you are getting from them and they are sure what value they can give to you. Because if they look like where you want to be, then I think it makes it easier for you to learn. What has happened in the story, for example, that Bukunmi has shared, is that people just get excited on new information. So you go to a seminar, you hear someone speak, you like how they speak, and you're like, hey, come and mentor me. And then when you see that it requires work, right? Because no change in character and no growth comes without work. All right, and then you now say, oh no, you are not sure. If someone really looks like where you're going, so that's number one, which means that you are clear where you want to go in that aspect of your life. Or and their story reminds you of where you are today. I think it will also help. Then availability too. Are they available? Do you have access to them? You know, either via their mentoring programs, maybe via their books, maybe you want to also attend their events. So access is important, right? Again, if it's a kind of relationship where you feel like you can learn from them virtually or through their books strictly, that's fine. So you need to be a bit clear. All right. One of the things I would say to young people who are starting their career is look for someone who looks like where you want to go to and try and who you think you want to be, or someone that you just think is succeeding first. Because sometimes, like Bukunmi said, you're not even clear where it is you want to go. But someone that you think has an image of who you want. So some people have reached out to me and said, oh, Nneka, I like the way you're able to do 1, 2, 3, 4 things. I like the way your career is. I like, and you may not be clear exactly what part, but they look like something that you would like in your future. And just start listening to them and see if there's a clicking, right? If there's an alignment, then you can then say, okay, yes, this is someone that I want to hone into, improve my access to, and then you then build that relationship, all right, from there.
Thank you very much, Bukunmi and Nneka. I really, I'm also learning, interesting. And what I've learned in what you both have said is that there is actually a price to pay, in a mentor-mentee relationship. And mentees need to also encourage their mentors by, maybe a change in character and by their growth. So thank you very much for that. So Bukunmi, you've shared your experience about mentoring people. I'm sure that there are some challenges that you may have faced in the past. So would you like to share with us some of the challenges, that you have encountered mentoring people?
Thank you so much, Toyin. I think the most evident one is time. Time. That one is really, which is why, it's so important that the mentee drives. So my mentee knows that if, for example, he sends me a message and, I'm here to respond, he knows that he should follow up. Because at times, what some people do is they send a message or they reach out, they think the person has read it. This thing makes some people go and put off their WhatsApp status. People won't say they have read the message. And then you now start feeling that person read your message, person didn't respond. My mentor is not responsive. That kind of almost having a sense of entitlement. You can't go to a mentor relationship with a sense of entitlement. That's a no. And some people do have that mindset. They think that people owe them. Nobody owes you in this life. So it's that time constraint, and the guy knows. At times, I keep apologizing. I'm so sorry. He says, "Oh, I understand," because I am involved in a lot. I didn't mention them when I was introducing myself, but my weekend life is like having a different kind of life from my 9 to 5. I'm a pastor in church. I speak at events. I do have events where I speak at on various things, career, leadership. I'm privileged to be able to do that. And that has helped me to improve myself. So the time constraint is one key constraint which we all face. And I think the other constraint that could impact the ability to provide mentorship is the commitment of the mentees themselves. If the level of commitment is not really high, you find out that you are the one chasing. In fact, some of those people, even though I won't say that relationship had grown really deep, but I had to be calling them. Can you imagine? I was one thing calling, reaching out to say, I was told that you were going to contact me. Can you imagine that? Reaching out to tell them that I was informed that you would contact me. Okay, so what would you like to talk about? Which is not exactly an ideal situation. Shouldn't be the one reaching out. But I just felt, okay, the leader had given me their names. I said, okay, give me their numbers, and I reached out to them. So the commitment of the mentees to know that there is a price to pay. It's not just the excitement. And I think what Nneka said about you listen to someone, you're excited about what you heard, but you then think that you just call the person and all the problems are solved. Is more than that. So the commitment of the mentees and the time constraints are two critical things. I believe that Nneka will definitely have additional things to share, especially from the perspective of being mentored. I think she has a lot of experience in that regard. So I'll just pass the baton to her.
So, but before Nneka, Bukunmi, how have you been able to manage the time constraint, especially?
Oh, we still are not going.
Because you're still a mentor, right? You are still a mentor. I'm aware of that. So, how have you been able to manage that?
Wow. So, I would say it's still work in progress, and I will be as real as possible, because at the end of the day, we are all working on improving ourselves. But what I try to do is to just be deliberate about it, and it does help me where the mentee is very deliberate too. For example, when the gentleman calls me and says, "Oh yeah, let's get this thing done," but you don't send a message once and just give up. I tell people, many a times people tell me they send me messages on WhatsApp. I'm in all sorts of WhatsApp groups. So your message may have gone down. So, for example, 2 weeks ago, some of the birthday, can you imagine, some of the birthday messages that were sent to my son in November, I was just responding to them. 2 weeks ago, November, and they were laughing. I said, I just saw that I had not responded to your message. So, I would encourage that, there are two sides to it. The mentee must really be deliberate with pushing and being aggressive. When the mentor sees that this guy is really passionate about what he wants, they'll make out time for you. But on my home part, I also try to, time management is something we keep working on. I try to prioritize, and I try to focus on what really matters. And then when I do that, I'm able to meet those commitments. But I would be lying if I tell you that it's not something I'm still working on, given all the various commitments I have. Thank you.
Yeah,
I hope that helps.
Absolutely, it does, Bukunmi. And given the challenges, right, Nneka, so what inspires you to be a mentor, actually?
I think that why I sighed is because I think that's something I'm really just fully coming into, right? And I say that to say that before one calls oneself a mentor and coach, you need to understand what's required, that you are actually deliberately trying to raise other people and trying to give back, right? And trying to help, deliberately seeking people that can ride on your success. It's something that requires a lot of time, like Bukunmi said. So because I've seen other people have been able to give of themselves to me, I'm a naturally driven person, right? So if I meet people who are not driven, it's a mini pet peeve for me. So I'm like, I'm not ready to pursue. Okay, so it's something that I'm just gradually coming into, and when we started this session, Bukunmi made reference to, happy employee coach. It's something I'm coming into over the last year or two. And it's because I've seen that if people know better, they will do better. I think that's a major thing. If people know better, they will do better. And if there's a message that I have that would help people to know better, then I owe it to myself, I owe it to my generation, I owe it to God to let them have that message so that they can do better and have better lives. Alright, so that's my inspiration really. The fact that I know that I have a message, the fact that I know that if people know better, they will do better. And the fact that I think I owe it to my generation to come out and let them know what it is that I know. Right, and to the upcoming generation to know what I know so that they can have better lives, right? So I think that that's really critical and at the heart of helping me, to keep at it. Because sometimes it can really be demanding and discouraging. You finish engaging people and think that, you've hit some nails on the head, and then someone starts and you're wondering, is it the same person that we've been talking to? So you just, so, and something that, so I'm learning that, you keep at it, you keep saying it, so I think the inspiration is just knowing that I owe it to people who are coming after me to share what I know. But if I don't, I can't then fault anybody for not, doing better. So I think that's inspiration for me.
That's an encouraging one, really, just trying to impact the next generation and seeing the world a better place, overall. So, Nneka, I would say come back to you. I know you have different mentors, across different areas of your life. So how do you manage a situation where your own goal and the goal of your mentor do not align? So how do you handle such misalignment?
Which is why I said before you say someone wants to be your mentor, okay, you've got to check. So I said you can see them from a distance and you admire, everything. You're just watching them and trying. But you've got to check for alignment. In fact, I say this to people, even in relationships with people as your colleagues, with people, even romantic relationships. The first thing I think that is important is alignment of values. Are we thinking the same thing? Are the same things important to us? Maybe not to the same degree, but there are things that are critical that should be important to us, almost equally. Do you understand? So I think that's where it's important. Now, have there been times where a mentor has given me advice from a place where they thought they understood the issue that they didn't? Yes. So ultimately, I have to go back internally and do an internal check. So I've been in situations where I've gone to a mentor for advice, and what they said doesn't capture the situation. I will not address it, either because they're in a rush to just give me the advice, or they've made some assumptions and not giving me the light of this to explain. Do you understand? So I've had that check in my heart, like, this person is telling me is not the solution to this problem. Do you understand? So I've have to go back into because at the end of the day, we need to navigate ourselves at the end of the day. We own our life. In fact, we have a captain. So sometimes when people look for a mentor, they look for someone who will take decisions for them, who will run their life for them. That's what some people are looking for. They want someone who will run their life for them, who they can give their life over to, and the person will say, in the morning, wake up, brush, you hear, bath by this time and do this. And literally monitor them. No.
That's a funny one.
That, honestly, I feel like people go through that mentors would do. Do you understand, Bukunmi? So I think that
sorry to back in.
Please go ahead.
I think it's a sign of irresponsibility because people are looking for who to blame when things go wrong. So I think that's
well, you told me now and I did it.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you must still take responsibility for your own life. You can come to a mentoring session and explain to your mentor, these are the things I'm going through. What do you think? And they provide their own perspective, or they're in a hurry and they couldn't give you attention, or you just assume, you need to still go back inside and check. Our navigation through life is still inside of us. Which is why I talk about a clicking. That person you want to mentor, it has to be that clicking. That's where the alignment. So I think that's where you need to get to. So what are you looking for? Right? And where there's a misalignment of values, you need to shift as far as I'm concerned. You just need to shift. It's a human relationship and we feed off each other. That's nature. That's nature. So you see things like you have worked with someone for 2 or 3 years, and before you see, you catch yourself saying phrases that the person says. Do you understand? You catch yourself reacting in ways. Without the person sitting down with you and teaching you and saying, so when this kind of thing happens, no. So that's how human relationships work. So you've got to be careful. If the misalignment is serious, I beg, please move. There are so many people who look at the future that you want and whose values align with yours. And now when I say values, people should not get all moral and all riled up. If you are chill with hanging out with the boys on Friday in a club and your mentor is good with that, that's fine. But don't go and look for someone who feels that on Friday evening you should be somewhere else in a club and you now be angry and saying their values don't align. You knew before you met the person. Do you understand? So find that alignment. I think is really important.
Yeah, that's so important. And Bukunmi, do you have an experience to share with us of quote and unquote? Have you ever sacked any of your mentors? Maybe as a result of misalignment, you just feel I have to let this.
Oh my word. Okay, so I don't have that experience, but I totally align with what and what I just had to what Nneka said is that, see, at the end of the day, the mentee has an option. You really don't have to take everything your mentor says hook, line, and sinker. Because the mentor is just to give you perspective, and then the choice is still yours because you have to own your decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I know I'm aware. Nneka, you wanted to say something?
No, go ahead.
All right. So KPMG has a systematic mentorship program. We have the performance managers, we have the body system. So can you share some personal experiences with this arrangement? Do you think it's valuable? Do you think it has been helpful in shaping personal and career growth in KPMG? Bukunmi.
Oh, okay. I was hoping you would call Nneka first. Because this particular question, it's a big elephant in the room actually. We do have that program, but the question is, how well has the program worked? I know that you tried as much as possible to make it some form of mentorship program, but we do know that there's still a lot of room for improvement. So the question then is from a personal standpoint, because at the end of the day, you have to look at it from what the individuals have gotten from it. From my own personal standpoint, I think I have been privileged to have benefited from having some really amazing performance managers who have also then fulfilled the role of being mentors, on the work. Because, when you talk about the context of KPMG, what you would often say happen will be limited to work. It doesn't mean that not limited, would be more focused on the work. However, you find instances where the performance manager also then becomes almost like a life coach, somebody who provides guidance on how you can proceed further in your life and career beyond the walls of KPMG. So I've had several over the years. Some of them I have moved on to other things. But I've stayed in touch and I've benefited greatly from them. One of them moved to another division. I was forced to have to change him because it was another division, another level of time, but we stayed in touch. I still, check one or two things with him. And we're privileged to even share a stage together at some point. He was very proud of me. In fact, he said, "Wow, guy, you really learned so much." And I said, "Well, thanks to your mentorship." Because this is somebody who will handhold you. You make mistakes. He doesn't beat you up. He just shows you that focus on the solution. So while I would say that the firm KPMG can still do a lot more in terms of making this work, especially in the way we structure how people's performance managers' decisions are made. The choice of performance manager. I think that will help us. If we can look at that, it's a tricky issue, but I think we need to relook it and see how best we can articulate how that process will work, so that people will not just have performance managers that show up during evaluation periods. So it won't be just someone comes and reads your rating and say, okay, this is it. Someone who has regular engagement. And if I may just put this, because I believe in not just pointing out issues, I believe in also trying to articulate some of the things that could be done. I think some of the things I've tried to do with some of my mentees, and I believe some of them will probably listen to this, podcast, is to seek to have informal engagements and discussions with them. For example, yesterday, one of my mentees reached out to me about some of the challenges she was having, and I said, okay, let's have a chat. Just an informal chat. We talked about all sorts. But I told her that we should have done it physically, where we have maybe a drink and maybe a cup of tea or just some buckets of chicken or something. That just puts a human face to the whole arrangement. So if mentors and mentees can have those informal, just talk about how are you doing generally, beyond just the work, how are you doing? Because the state of a person mentally will go a long way in determining how well they are able to focus and produce results in the office. The mental state of someone. If someone is not in the right mental state, and we talk about mental health issues, people think it's just when somebody runs amok or something, but many people have mental health issues that could actually be addressed just by having conversations with people that can listen to them, people that they can onboard into, and then they can together chart a way forward. And at the end of that conversation, I asked that mentee of mine, I said, How do you feel? Do you feel better? And she said, yes, that this has been very, very useful. So I think those are the kind of things we can do. Make it organic, not a forced thing, but encourage people to have those kind of conversations that can help, hopefully, to facilitate their personal and career growth. I hope that helps somebody.
Very helpful. It has helped me, and I believe it would also help a lot of our listeners. So, Nneka, I would also like to hear from you, what your experience has been with respect to our own, that's the KPMG's own mentoring program, which is the performance manager relationship,
I think there are two things. I'll just re-echo what Bukunmi said. One is, I'll re-echo one and then I'll say another one. The first, what I want to say that he has said is the choosing of performance managers. I think it's important that people are allowed to choose performance managers. This issue of assigning performance managers doesn't help, right? Because people don't have a relationship with the person. The person doesn't look like where they think they are going. There may be misalignment of values. So it's the kind of person that you give me as a PM, and our values are not aligned to a large extent. So I'm already turned off.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to leave it as a very formal relationship and just move on with my life. But there's someone else that I would have, and I would be willing to talk to the person. Because again, we have said earlier that in mentoring, a lot of the success of the relationship lies on the mentee. We said that earlier. So imagine where, as the mentee, I don't feel like talking to the so-called mentor. What happens? There will be no talking at all. Do you understand? So I think it's really important that we look at that. Personally, I've had both positive and negative experiences within the performance management system. When the body system started, I think I was already a senior or something, so I wasn't part of that. But yeah, I didn't experience that. But in terms of shaping your career and personal growth, I think that if you have a mentor, a performance manager that you truly know, and I've had negative experiences from people that I've mentored, right? I've had people feel like, Nneka was a bit too hard, I wasn't necessarily siding, because I think that people think that because I'm your performance manager, anything you do is right as long as you get the evaluation. It doesn't work that way, So if you've not done well, then you've not done well. I'm not going to quote it and say you've done well because I'm your performance manager. It doesn't work. So I've had that kind of negative experience. Really bad, where someone goes to my own superiors to say that I'm working against them. Do you understand? Yes. And then my superior calls me and says, don't just ignore. This person is just angry, and the person understands that I can't be working against you because, you've not done well and I've said you've not done well. Do you understand? Yeah. So I think that allowing people to choose their TMs would help, right? And because the performance management thing will thrive better through informal conversations, I think. The formal conversations are necessary, but if I can get regular feedback, regular, sharing. And I think another thing that would also help, now this is difficult to pull off within any organization at all, because if your performance manager is someone that you can talk freely to without it influencing your career to a large extent, they're able to mentally see what should and should not influence your career, then it's easier. But because the performance manager has to understand what you are doing, so most likely they're in your unit, and so they're both a performance manager to you and a work reviewer of sorts. So that's the fact that it's 2 in 1 kind of doesn't make it so easy, because if it's someone that you could freely speak to about all the issues you're going through and it won't influence your career growth and all of that, then it would have been easier for you to speak freely. So I encourage people, when I teach about enjoying your work, to make sure that you have what I call an office bestie. Someone that you can rant to freely, whether in your work, or someone that whether in your office or someone outside your office, someone that understands your work, so that you can see what needs to go to performance manager or what needs to go to your line manager, because you'll be able to rant and clear your head with somebody else who understands the work that you do. I hope that helps.
That's really helpful. And when you were speaking, you talked about having conversation, which speaks to the importance of communication, in a mentor-mentee relationship. So, Bukunmi, would you like to let us know what methods have you used in the past, to communicate, maybe in either speaking with your mentee or in you speaking with your mentor?
Oh, okay. You use words.
Words.
Words. I mean, I just put that in there. Obviously, I mean, communication is so important, and I think a part of communication, effective communication, cannot be done without listening. So you have to be open to listening, not just being quiet. You have to be open to listen, because if it's when you listen, you understand. So what, to address the question, you said, what role does effective communication play in a mentorship program? It's without communication, nothing can be passed across. So people can be saying stuff. If the other party is not willing to listen, then we could as well just end the conversation and everybody goes their separate ways. And that speaks to the value alignment that Nneka is talking about. In any relationship, especially, in fact, it's even riskier when a relationship is a relationship that will bring people together. It's supposed to bring people together. In a romantic relationship, for example, if the values are not aligned, you are going to clash. There are going to be issues. So methods I've used to communicate effectively. So I'm trying to really think about it in terms of methods. So methods of communication could be face-to-face communication, right? Could be virtual. It's been a bit tough to really have the face-to-face one-to-one communication with my mentees or people I've mentored in recent times, given the way the world has really changed. But I've used face-to-face in the past. I've used, phone call communication. I've used chat. Just have informal WhatsApp chat, check on one another. I've used voice notes. I've used all sorts of methods to communicate to my mentees. Perhaps, I struggled a bit to try to think about what other methods, but I would probably just ask Nneka, maybe she can shed a bit more light on this, since we are both the guests. So I'm not the only one in the hot seat.
No, I think I mentioned earlier that you can use like Bukunmi has dealt with you. It can be via emails. You can be via the mentors book.
Yeah.
You can also get mentoring.
That's true.
That's true.
Yes, so I think that's all I will add to that.
Okay.
Thank you, Nneka. Great talking.
Right. So I'm sure among those listening to us, we have very young people, those who are still very young in their career, and they're even just about starting. So what final words would you leave with them with regards to the benefits of mentorship? So how would both of you would talk about this? Nneka.
Okay,
I would say that if you're a young person, look for people who look like the future you want. If you're not sure it's a future if you're not even sure what future you want, look for people who look like they are doing well in what they are doing and watch them. Right? I say this because sometimes we are not in families where we may be able to watch either older ones or our parents. We're in different types of what our parents are doing. We're not sure. So look for people around you, be it in your church, be it at work, be it at your religious activities, or look for people in your neighborhood who look like their lives are making progress, right? And try and learn from them. As you rise, try and connect with them. And like Bukunmi said, try and serve them. There's something powerful about serving somebody, right? That enables you to be able to do what they are doing, and opens them up to be able to teach you what it is that they know that has brought them the success that they have. All right. So be very willing to serve. Have a heart for someone who wants to serve. And they look like, what do they want? What do they need? You will be surprised. As I sit here today, there are things I need people to help me do. Right? There are lots of stuff, lots of stuff. I write on different platforms. I do a lot of stuff. So there are a lot of stuff I need people to help me do. So there's something that they need that you can help them do. All right. So I think that will help you, because that begins to provide clarity to you as to where you can be going in future, and help you to begin to walk on their shoulders and get to where you want to get to.
True. Thank you very much, Nneka. Bukunmi, your final words.
Wow. First of all, I'd like to say it's been a great experience sharing on mentoring, sharing the stage with Nneka and the amazing host, Toyin. Nneka said quite a lot. I'll just close with this statement. You need help. I say it again, you need help. You can't do it on your own. And finally, be open to learning. The learning process could be looked at from three points. You need to continue to learn. We learn some things you know already, reinforce them. there are some things you need to unlearn. So some mindset you've built, some may have built a mindset in school and think the world holds them. Nobody holds you in the world. Nobody holds you anything. And then you need to unlearn certain things. And then there are certain new things that you may need to then take on. So you need to reinforce certain things you already know. The mentor could help you with that. You need to unlearn certain things that you already know. The mentor could help you with that. And you then need to learn new things as you seek to grow in your career and in life generally. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Bukunmi. With that final response, we have now come to the end of another amazing episode. Please check out past episodes of Beyond 85, where we have talked about mental health, talked about motherhood, travel, fitness, finance, and well-being. We've also had some of our professionals share their COVID-19 experiences. Be sure to subscribe and share with friends and loved ones. Also remember to click on the notification button to be notified of new content when it's available. See you on another episode. Bye for now.